Hey, can you check your email? Can you email me your phone number? I don't have it.
Okay. To Sky?
Yeah, it's to Scott.
Is this that old state?
Test, test, test.
Are we live? Are we live? Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm ready.
When I hugged her, because I loved her, and you love her.
Yes, we
morning. I would like to welcome everybody to the Business Council Quarterly Meeting. Today is August the 9th, and we are located at the Pawnee Nation Resource Center. If anybody watching would like to come and attend. This morning, we'll call this meeting to order at 9:14 a.m. And I would like to ask Councilwoman Butler if she could give us the invocation, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. We thank you for this break in this hot weather that we've received this morning, the rain that we received. Pray that you'll be with this meeting, Lord, and I pray that everything will go smoothly, everything will go according to your will. Pray that everybody will be able to get reported what needs to be reported to the people. Pray that you'll guide us and direct us, keep us in your path, Lord. I pray and ask all these things in your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman Butler. This time we'll have the roll call.
Jordan Canuho.
Here.
George Gardapi here. Carol Chapman.
Here.
Cynthia Butler.
Here.
Donna Hare.
Titica.
Gene Evans.
Here.
Sammy Kimball.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. At this time, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or omissions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Hearing none, I got a motion on the floor to move to approve the agenda by Councilwoman Butler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Secretary Gardapi. No discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho.
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman.
Yes.
Cynthia Butler.
Yes.
Donna Hare.
Aho.
Gene Evans.
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, item number 4, we have Pawnee Business Council President Report, and I gave my report at the last meeting, which I just came into office for June, so I believe we're pretty much caught up. Everything else that was covered under former President Echo Hawk's administration was covered in our first quarterly meeting, so that moves us to item number 5, Pawnee Business Council Committee Reports. The committee reports are in your packet in the Teams folder. Does anybody have any questions on the committee reports? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the second quarter committee reports.
I'll make a motion to approve the committee reports.
We got a motion by Councilwoman Butler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Canuho. No discussion. We'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho.
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman.
Yes.
Cynthia Butler.
Yes.
Donna Hare.
Abstain.
Gene Evans.
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6, we have the Pawnee Nation College report. Is that in here?
Yeah, I believe Chairman Wrightian's supposed to be here, and then I think also President Burns is supposed to be here too on that.
So do you want to wait until they show up, or just move to the next item? Okay. While we're waiting for Professor Wrighting in and Ms. Burns to appear, we're going to move on to the next item. Item number 7, Pawnee Nation Housing Report.
I can report. So this past quarter, we've been really busy. We have completed almost all of our goals for housing this fiscal year. In fact, we are at the point where we are having to be really frugal with our budget because we did spend a lot of money on helping privately owned homes, and we've been vamping up all our remodeling efforts on our own homes to where we're having to wait until we can purchase more materials until the next fiscal year. So that's how much we've been active in our housing grant. And we're also been meeting with our board and a grant writer about continuing on this housing development that we're trying to do. There's a lot of different moving parts to this, and I feel like it would be a little easier, but it's not. It's pretty difficult, but we're on the course. Our commissioners are dedicated. I know our tribe knows that we need more housing. It's just it's pretty a bleak situation in Pawnee, Oklahoma, and we have identified land. I know I've spoke on it before, but Tuesday we're actually going to be meeting with our commissioners about actually moving forward with that development. So there are other grants that we're looking at. We've met with Tribuquint, and we're looking at weatherization grant, and we're looking at, and that's a significant one if we can qualify. It's up to $2 million, and it's all tied into our initiatives here, renewable energy, energy efficiency. So that's the movement that we're trying to get on board with. We're there, so that's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing, and we continue to help people when they need it. But our executive director did want me to mention that we do like helping people, but we're kind of limited on what we can do for people as far as electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, because a lot of them are calling us, wanting us as the staff to come and fix their homes, and just letting everybody know that we'd love to, but we have our own homes that we need to work on, and we don't really have the licenses ourselves to go out to the homes and have that liability. So I just wanted our citizens to know that we'll help you when we can, and other than that, we just want to make sure that we will help you when we can, but otherwise you might have to contract your own contractor to fix those problems at your home. But other than that, we are busy at housing, trying to move forward and get some development, find some housing. We've also met with the city, so we're trying to find some collaboration on various entities. So that's our report for housing.
Thank you, Secretary Gardapi. Our next item we have is item 8, Pawnee Nation Tribal Development Corporation report. And here we have our new CEO, Robert Waller.
Yes, thank you very much. I think I've met everyone except Mr. Evans. My name is Robert Waller. I actually came from the Delaware tribe in Antarctica. So very pleased and excited to be here. I see nothing but opportunity. We have a few things that are thorns in the side, but we're going to fix those and move forward. I just completed my 5th week, so got here right around the 1st of July. It's been very busy. I've met with the Gaming Commission, our bankers, new bankers, venture capitalists, our outside accounting firm, all of our gaming vendors, most of our service vendors, just trying to get a lay of the land. I think one of the most important things is community involvement. I've met with the mayor. I've met with the superintendent of the schools, the football coach, the quarterbacks club, the executive director of Pawnee Bills. So been very busy. Like I said, community involvement is very important to me, especially when you own businesses in the community. If you support the community will support you. We're actually planning, we're getting all of our food vendors to supply food, and we're going to have a Labor Day beach bash at the bathhouse on Labor Day. So that should be fun, and it'll be for the whole community. They can come out, and we're going to cook hamburgers and hot dogs and have a good time. My first order of business when arriving was kind of to set a mission, a direction for our company, and I put that on my directors' backs, and we had a big meeting, and they decided that we wanted to provide Southern hospitality with endless entertainment. So This is something that I want to put on the wall in the casino so that our customers will hold us to that. And again, I'll talk a little bit about the entertainment section. The Southern Hospitality is just training, training, training. And we're going to make that happen. Our ultimate goal is growth and expansion, and not just for us, but for the generations to come. There's a saying, and I'm paraphrasing, but a society becomes great when its elders plant trees that they know they will never enjoy the shade of. And it's, we're all on the same team, and we're growing for the future. So the first thing we need to do before we grow is become efficient in what we're already doing. If you're 60% efficient in what you're doing, your next venture will probably be 50% efficient. So we have a turnip, and I want to squeeze every ounce of blood out of the turnip we have before we get another one. So we're in the process of turning over rocks and seeing what's under them, and we're going to go through every single GL account. We're going to come up with different ways to make money. It's kind of like an investment portfolio. You need to be diverse. And if we only count on gaming and convenience stores, at some point that's going to get squeezed, especially with gaming, because it's just going to get more saturated and more saturated. But there's lots of business ideas out there. My background is in business management, accounting, finance. I've done consulting. I've done CEO coaching. I've bought and owned businesses. I've started businesses, grew them, and sold them. There's lots of things that we can do. It just takes time, takes funding. Like I said, I've met with some venture capitalists, some people who, I've talked about the debt that we need to refinance at the beginning of next year. And, we have 12 acres in Yale, and they're interested in funding a casino there. Wouldn't be a huge casino, maybe 200 games to start, but we would have them build it to where it's easily expandable. So to me, it's very exciting because it's an area that really hasn't been tapped here. So I think it'll be fun. And, like I said, we're on our way. The Trading Post, being open 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is fine for retail. But when it comes to gaming, it's not the hours. From 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., that's the gaming hours. So August 1st, we extended the hours from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Still just 5 days a week, but as soon as we get a couple more people, we're going to do it 7 days a week. We may even open it till midnight on Friday and Saturday. I think the restaurant is still 10 to 6, but again, as we get staff, we'll expand that. And that's really, the Trading Post is kind of our draw right now. And it's just a math problem. We're not open enough. So we started that August 1st. We have 20 acres behind Stonewolf, and we've had it for 4, 5, 6 years. I'm not for sure how long, but we've done nothing with it. We would like to put a hotel and a convention center there. Someday we will. But until then, I'm thinking about not really clearing the land, but I'd like to make it a park. Maybe a jogging trail, a playground, horseshoe pits, just all kinds of things. And not only will it be something that the community can use, But we can have outdoor concerts, we can have car shows, craft fairs, music festivals, all kinds of things. But my goal there is to bring more people around Stone Wolf Casino. And we have 20 acres right there. What a great place to do it. Community could use it, we could use it. And even when we do build a hotel and a convention center, it's only going to take up 5 to 10 acres. So we're still going to have the rest of that land. So I'm not opposed to self-storage facilities, boat and RV storage places, car washes, lots of things that have very low overhead and, again, will generate cash flow going forward. And it's a great asset. And in my opinion, you always have to spend money on a new sign because a storm came through or an air conditioner goes out. But when we spend money, we should spend it on revenue generating assets, something that's going to give us a return, not only, on a monthly basis, but as you pay that mortgage down, you're gaining equity in it. So it's a value. You can borrow against it if you need to do another venture. So there's a lot we can do. And the reason we need to become more efficient right now is because whatever business we open is not going to fund itself from day one. So it's going to need something to supplement it until it gets its feet under it and it's running smoothly and everybody knows about it and they're showing up and participating. So again, that just takes funds. So if we can become more efficient and make a little bit more money on what we're doing now, growth is easy. So anyway, that's kind of my my State of the Union. As far as the financial, it looks like we had a really good second quarter. Our gaming revenue was up by 21% over last year. Stone Wolf was up 19% on a year-to-date basis. Trading Post was up 7%. TP was the only one down a little bit, and it was only down 4%. Our retail revenue for the second quarter was down slightly as well by 10%, but it actually had a really good quarter the first quarter. The food and beverage revenue was up 11% over last year, which is good. TDC, after all transfers and depreciation and interest and everything as a whole, had a slight loss, but that's kind of normal with all the assessments and things. But again, all the assessments, the rents, the debts, they've all been paid. They're all current, and we're running strong. So after 5 weeks, that's what I have to report. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Waller. Do we have any questions for Mr. Waller? I think you've kind of come in and analyzed, just what we've kind of known, and I'm glad to hear that you're looking into diversifying our portfolio, our business portfolio. I know that, we're limited due to the covenants of the funding that we're receiving from the banks, so it'll be good to, like I said, kind of diversify once we get that paid down and look into some other ventures. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the good things about, and I call them venture capitalists, but there's a company called PDS Gaming, and they fund construction projects, remodels in the gaming industry. Of course, they also have games that they would prefer you put on your floor, right. Which would help service the debt. But the good thing about these companies is they don't have the restrictive covenants that banks do. So it's a little easier to operate going forward. But again, I have a meeting next week with the construction company, because I guess 3 or 4 years ago, PDS Gaming came in, they brought a construction company, they did mock-ups of a new casino in Yale. So I'm going to meet with them next week and talk about what the cost of that facility would be, and at the same time, you know, our park, we've got maybe put a couple of pavilions up there for picnics and things like that, family reunions, whatever the community wants to use them for. But there's a few things they could do for us in the future, so.
Oh, good. Well, maybe you can have a community meeting and, you know, seek input also. So
Absolutely.
Community would have a buy-in on the project,
Yes.
so.
Absolutely.
All right. Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I don't have any questions for you, Mr. Waller, but I do want to thank you for your report and welcome you to the community, welcome you to TDC.
Thank you.
Appreciate the things that you had said. It's encouraging. But I do want to ask the council, we probably do need to finish up that prosperity plan because it's lingering out there. And that's concerning because we want them to be able to do the things that they need to do, but yet we're still holding them back from doing it. So I just want to put that in you guys' ear that we probably need to meet soon on that because that economic development part was supposed to come under the nation. And I've always had my concerns about that, but I would like to see that stay under TDC, but that's just my opinion. I'm just throwing that out there. But just do want to encourage us to go ahead and move forward with that because it's just lingering out there and they're wanting to do a lot of good things, so I think that we should probably look at that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Butler. Any other comments?
I have
Mr.
one.
Waller? Yes.
President Nettle, thank you. Mr. Waller, thank you. We had a brief conversation, and I was really happy to hear that our little hub, the Post, is going to be coming back into business. It truly is a great spot for our community here. We have a lot of elders that don't travel out to the Wolf, that enjoy coming in for lunch, that enjoy, you know, just having a cup of coffee with their friends and having lunch or what have you. So I'm really excited about that, although it probably isn't the most income generating, facility that we do have. It's an important one.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you recognize that today. And I'm glad to have you. Looking forward to working with you and seeing some light at the end of the tunnel here and growing.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
I had
Yes, Vice President Canuto.
Thank you, President Nettle. Thank you again for your report. It is encouraging to hear that what you expressed, diversifying outside of gaming. I know in 2020 that opened the eyes to not just our tribe, but all gaming that's out there because everything had to shut down and all that. And it kind of really revealed a weak spot in our revenue generation. So that's good to hear that. With TP down this quarter, compared to last year's quarter and everything else, as you're talking about looking at possibly building out on the 12 acres that you mentioned there, has there been something that's affected that I guess down, being down this year? Or?
Not really. Most of the down part was just our win percentage.
Okay.
Normally on a Class 2 game, your win percentage is about 3.5%. On a Class 3 game, it's 7 or 8%. You throw jackpots in there, it fluctuates 1% or 2%. I was telling my directors yesterday. We have a weekly directors meeting, and I said, when you say your win percentage, we want to increase it by 1%. It doesn't sound like very much. But when you think it's 1% of your coin in, which is $250 million, that's $2.5 million. So if that win percentage is, our coin in one year can be really high, but if your win percentage is low, your revenue's the same. So you kind of have to try to keep that win percentage, at the same spot. But there's, to me, there's 3 ways to increase revenue. You either bring more people to the casino, you convince the people that already come to spend more money, or you keep more of the money coming in, which is your win percentage. So And I think ours is really low. I think there's something not wrong with our machines, but I need the vendors to come out and test each machine, because I really think we're at least a point too low. So that in itself, and I told them 1% doesn't sound like much, but if you're taking 1% of $2.5 million or $250 million, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not that the business has gone down, because I looked at that and the head count is about the same.
Okay.
So
That's good to hear. I was kind of curious about that. I'm anxious to see next quarter's report based off of summer's activities with homecoming powwow that we had, the rodeo that we had, just a lot of stuff, just for the Post and also for Stonewolf as well, just kind of see how this.
And even if we do open another casino in Yale, I would still keep TP open, just see what it does. I mean, if it still continues to make money, then, leave it open.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Vice President Canuho.
President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
I would also like to thank you for your report and look forward to working with you. It's evident you have a lot of experience in gaming, and I'm really happy to hear your goals for the future. One of the items that this council is very interested in and has been interested in is of course, the loan and the assessments that come to the Pawnee Business Council from gaming. And it still remains a concern for the council and the tribe. So I look forward to setting up a meeting with you.
Okay. Absolutely.
To look at, your new and to go over the assessments again and bring it back to the council.
Okay.
So thank you again.
Look forward
Welcome.
to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Chapman. Any other comments? If none, we'd like to thank you for coming and attending.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move back up to item number 6, Pawnee Nation College Report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here with Stacy Burns, the acting president for Pawnee Nation College. I'm Les Ridigan. I am the chair of the trustees for Pawnee Nation College, and it's an honor to be here and to present our quarterly update. The Pawnee, first of all, is the Pawnee Nation College continues with educational programs on campus and expansion of programs via distance learning programs in conjunction with Nebraska Indian Community College. We are also pleased to announce that on June 8th, 2023, a resolution was passed on behalf of Pawnee Nation College and the Board of Trustees presenting a letter of support to express our commitment to the brand new Pawnee Nation Behavioral Health Center project and becoming a 5% owner of the Pawnee Mental Health Limited LLC. So we're very excited for this future partnership, as this endeavor will spotlight current curriculum in place and be a foundation to grow our educational efforts to possibly offer additional medical certification programs that are much needed in this community. This effort will provide our students with professional job skills necessary to be competitive in this market. As part of the summary, Stacy Burns reported that the Native American Career and Technical Education Program, we call it NACTEP, semi-annual report was submitted successfully on April 26, 2023. President Burns did meet with the grant officer for a technical review, and we're very excited to report that the review was rated as excellent. She's been doing an amazing job with NACTEP, so definitely want to commend her on that. This is a grant that's been renewed multiple times, and so it's been very much a life force for Pawnee Nation College, and so we're very excited that it's continuing with the high marks. Regarding the NTIA grant, a no-cost extension was approved on May 10th, 2023. And the performance technical report and the financial expenditure report was successfully submitted on April 31st. We are still waiting for a change in scope and rebudget of the grant proposal. Once again, we're sort of reformulating the grant proposal to concentrate much more strongly on our community here in Pawnee. If you remember, the original NTIA grant was very broad in scope, and so we are working with the program directors on making that grant concentrate and benefit the people of Pawnee. So moving on, we made a temporary hire in Parisa Baker as a consultant to assist the college administrative matters relating to accreditation. So what she'll be working on is the creation of a combined faculty and staff handbook, updates to our catalog, updates to the student handbook, and reviewing our operating procedures in all the departments and positions. She's also going to be assisting in a 5-year strategic plan toward accreditation. So that is something that we think is very good. She's extremely knowledgeable. She's met with the trustees multiple times, and so we're very excited that she has come on board in this capacity to help us move forward toward accreditation. We do have our quarterly meeting coming up on October 12th and 13th. This will be a retreat. When I say we, is the Board of Trustees, along with the leadership of Pawnee Nation College. So there's 3 major agenda items that we're going to be looking at our retreat. Day 1 will be the retreat, and then day 2 will be our quarterly trustee meeting. As far as the retreat, we're going to be looking at our relationship with NICC, Nebraska Indian Community College. So that's part 1 of it. The second part is looking at our accreditation and coming up with more of a complete schedule, a roadmap toward that accreditation. And then thirdly, policy and procedures. The aforementioned Parisa Baker, she will be with us at this meeting to help us get started on making our MOUs stronger, and looking at our bylaws and articles of incorporation. And so as we, of course, develop and have this roadmap toward accreditation, it's time to review this, and it's time to make those documents stronger. As far as financial reporting, we're going to be looking at the formula agreement with Nebraska Indian Community College regarding the tuition reimbursement payments. There's an issue with how they code our students. Stacy Burns can talk a little bit more about that if there are any questions regarding this, but it's something that we certainly want to correct. In conclusion, Pawnee Nation College will continue with efforts to establish accreditation criteria, and as always, our goals within 3 to 5 years. We've been saying that for a little while, but this is something that is certainly the top priority agenda for us as we move forward. So with that is our report. Stacy and I are here to answer any questions as needed.
Ms. Burns, can you go ahead and report on what he had just mentioned about the
formula?
Yes.
So what we're finding out is Marcy's doing a lot of outreach and recruiting, and whenever you get in, we have access to, it's called Empowered, so it's a student information system with the records. And there's a lot of students that we're seeing that are from our area, like all around the tribes, you know, the Osage, everyone, and they're coded as NICC students, and they're not actually counting, because when she goes out to do recruiting, a lot of the flyers that we share, it goes straight to their phone number. So if they don't come in to our campus and get enrolled and they do it online, then they automatically code them as online students. And so there's several students that are now starting to call, and Marcy doesn't even know that they're in, and they say, well, I'm PNC, and so she goes to look and gets them, and they're like, no, your NICC is what NICC is saying, but she's doing all the outreach and the coding. So we're having an issue with, you know, they didn't even have Oklahoma students before, and very few students that were from tribes in Oklahoma. So we know, because you can see all those students. So right now she's recruited 25 of the bachelor students. Actually, she added 5 more on Thursday, so 30. And there's 40 in the system. Well, those other 10, she got the information out to them, but when they went online to do it, then they were automatically coded as NICC if Marcy didn't send it. So there's a lot of outreach we're doing and not getting it counted or getting revenue for it. So
So is that what's affecting your tuition reimbursement payment?
And that will because of the numbers, but also we found out at this last payment, we get a payment once a year in the spring, and it's for the 3 semesters of the previous academic year. And I think the former president of PNC and NICC president decided to change the formula without approval or voting from the board, and it made it. So I did the numbers when I found out, and it was a $60,000 difference, and that we lost. And so I brought it to the attention of the board, and he was there, the president of NICC, and so he's not. I mean, we're going to have. Yeah, he didn't want to talk about it, but we're not letting it go. And actually, the way that what they were doing is if one of our instructors are teaching it, whether NICC or PNC students in there, then we get to count them. But that's not how it always was. It's supposed to be 20/80. They get 20% of the revenue, we get 80, but any student that's PNC is ours. So what they're doing is manipulating the schedule so that most of our students and their students go into their instructor classes, so we only get to count. If we only have 4 classes our instructors are teaching, then we only get to count those students, even if they're in ICC, but it made a huge difference, and it benefited them very well, but not us. And it's really, it doesn't help us with accreditation, it doesn't help us with NACTEP, anything, because we're not able to count who's really ours, or because we can't prove it, because they're the way they're coded. So it's an issue. So it's a big thing that we're going to be on our retreat the 12th through the 14th, and so that's what it is. Yeah.
So are you going to be strategizing on ways to address that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We're already working on it.
If there's anything that we can do to assist you, then you make sure you let us know.
Fantastic. We certainly appreciate that. We're already looking at MOUs of a similar nature, including our previous MOU with Bacone College, which actually was fair in this way. And so we're going to be learning from that and then see what we can do to do an addendum to the existing MOU of NICC.
All right. Thank you for your report. Council, do we have any questions for the college? Yes, Councilwoman Hare.
Okay. It was good to hear about your progress, and I'm glad you're working on the issues that you do. I just wanted to tell you that it's good to see the signage that you have, and I know most people have seen the one between Tulsa and here, where it has Pawnee Nation College, but I was driving in from Colorado the other day, and I saw the one in NOC country that had Pawnee Nation College, $1 an hour. So is it still, are we still offering that rate?
So this is interesting because we were just talking yesterday where the other sign was at.
Signs, yeah. And one is by that area, but Marcy and I were talking, we were in this meeting, the former president, and he didn't want us to pick the locations, and so we had to leave the meeting. So we still don't know where those locations are, but we knew one was, we thought, near Blackwell, and yeah, that way. And the other two, we believe, may be down near Comanche country. What a coincidence. So, you know, so. But yeah, so it's good to know that it really is there. So we contacted the guy that set it up, and so he's meeting with me next week so we can get it all. But yeah, and did it have Tim Allen on it, a picture of him?
On that one, I don't remember, but I saw one with him, and I didn't know who it was. I was like, okay, but it was really neat to see the signage. Go ahead. Oh,
the dollar per credit hour is going to go through this academic year, is what NICC has told us, and I believe through the summer of '24. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to get the word out to people. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm glad TDC is still here because it's really more for you. But I think the college could be helpful, would be helpful in this. And it's to get the percentage of our tribal members that work for our tribal enterprises to bring that up. and to try to train and to recruit more of our tribal people for retail and enterprise, because we can do all the economic development in the world, but unless we train our people and develop our people, they're not going to be in those jobs, and a lot of them aren't in those jobs right now. And so I really love going to, I was up at the Fort Randall casino, and it's really good to see their tribal members in, in the jobs. And we started out that way, but not completely, but we've had losses through the years on the percentage of our tribal members in the jobs. So that's something, and I'd be willing to help work with you, in any capacity on that.
Do we have some type of designation that shows they're a tribal member when they're employed with us? Like, on the badge, does it have something that says, I'm a Pawnee tribal member?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Not on the badge. We get the percentages from your reports and
Right.
stuff, but we don't have anything to
I just thought
identify.
that would be a proud thing for a tribal member who is employed by their tribe to show
Absolutely.
something like that.
If I may, I'd like to add one last point. Thank you. We are going to be circling back with Mr. Dick Seeley. Donna Hare put us in touch with him. He is one of the original folks who created or helped, not necessarily create, but was one of the, I guess, what's the proper term? Development. So, Pawnee Nation College. We were put back in touch with him about 6 months ago, and so we're going to continue that relationship. He's very enthusiastic about where we're at right now, and he's already given Stacy some homework to do, which she completed, and so now it's just a matter of working with the board to see what we want to concentrate on with Mr. Seeley.
Yes, Vice President Canoe.
Thank you, Chairman, writing in for your report. Thank you, President Burns, as well. One thing I want to bring up is something that I got from the last BOT meeting that I attended, is that you're starting to get limited on your space within the college as well. I think that's something maybe we as a council or even the executive staff can start looking at, as kind of some other areas to place them. I know that they're getting, like I said, limited on space for classrooms and everything. And as they continue to grow and as they're continuing to push towards accreditation, I know that's going to be something as far as they're going to need in that regard. And then the second thing with that as well is with the formula matter as well. So it's an 80-20, and that's based off of the MOU that was originally signed by the president at the time, correct? So they're not currently honoring that. Is that what I understand?
Which one now?
The 80-20 that you did mention, because that was in the original MOU.
No, so in the beginning, they were doing 100% revenue, and we didn't have as many students, but as, we grew and the partnership was going well and the word was out, we got a lot of our students that didn't have such a good, it wasn't good for Abbey Cone, so they were all coming back. So the more students we got, the more that 100% was. And he didn't have to do that. It was nice, though, that he did. That was one full academic year and half of it another one. And then there was it was over less. There was a conflict over who was going to pay for an instructor class that Les was teaching, because the dean at NICC asked him to teach the course last minute, and Mr. Burgess didn't know about it, and he didn't want to pay for it. So this is what the NICC president said: well, since you didn't pay for that instructor, then you don't get to count those students. So now if you want to do it that way, that's how we'll do it from now on. Then whatever instructor you pay for, those are the only students you get revenue for. So then the formula was like that. So it just was whoever paid for that instructor, which we paid for, but they were manipulating our schedule. When we want to have on campus, and they were having the same section there online, they would just cancel our class and say, we already have this, and put those students in there. So then that instructor of ours no longer had a class, which means we don't get revenue.
Yeah.
So that was the last 3 semesters. And so the 2080, I've already figured it on the last 3 semesters. And we talked about this in our meeting Thursday. I mean, are we going to make them make it right for that. And then, they may come back and say, well, let's go all the way back where it was 100%. And that's fine too, if we could just do 2080, because that's what the agreement says. That's what is, agreed by both. So he didn't say that he was wanted to do the 2080, but he said he would do a proposal, Dr. Otragi from NICC. But I don't really think he can change it without the board agreeing, because it's already agreed on what it is.
I guess for me is whatever's in place now needs to be
That's what I did my proposal on, because that's what it is.
Yeah,
whether
that's
he
what they
wants
need to
it,
start
whether
paying
he
now.
wants it to be or not, that is what it is. So.
And for me, this is just me, is I wouldn't wait until that negotiation part happens. They need to honor what's already currently in place.
Okay, I agree.
And they're not honoring that, are they?
No.
And so that I mean, yeah, back, all that stuff, whatever, but that was their decision to pay the 100, but now that they're changing the rules without any kind of approval from either his board or your board, it just needs to go back to the 80-20 and
I agree.
go to that point there. So I think that's a discussion that needs to be had so that you are still able to function, because you guys are out recruiting. They had no effort in that recruitment.
Right.
You guys are going to these powwows. You guys are, making these, connections with other tribes. They're not down here doing that. So
Right.
I don't see why they need to take all the funds that you guys are having for the work you're doing, enrolling them as NICC students and not PNC students.
Right.
So to me, I think currently right now, that's what they should be honoring, and it shouldn't be, oh, let's wait until then, because they're just going to continue to, in my opinion, rip you off kind of
And we're just now finding out that they're being coded wrong. So we were able to get in Empower and look at all that. So that doesn't even count on the numbers we have right now. Like we just, are finding that out. And so we've been talking to, the registrar, and he's like, that's just the way it is. That's just it, And then we're like, well, you're the registrar. So that's why I brought it to their attention, because she just really found out there's a lot more, because she had about 8 or 10 students come in for the fall, and they were already, enrolled.
Yeah.
And they said that they, had met her through outreach or through the tribes that she had been to, and that they thought they were a PNC student. And so, they only let us see who are PNC. So it took Parisa. That's one good thing about our consultant. She works at NICC too, and she has access to all. So she pulled it for us. And she said, you wouldn't believe how many are from Oklahoma and the tribes. I report to NACTEP every tribe we have of our students. So she pulled it that way also yesterday. And she's like, you have way more students than you even knew that we can't even see.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
see,
going to be an issue.
And to me, that is the issue, because you
Yeah.
guys are recruiting and doing everything to bring in the students. Based off of Parisa's report that she shared with the council too, is you guys have an 66% retention rate.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just a small little college that's getting a 10-15% retention rate. You guys are retaining a lot of your students, and a lot of your students are now wanting to go into the bachelor's program as well, which, to my understanding, that's just going to go straight to NICC.
It is. She spent the last 3 to 4 weeks every day with appointments. There's 40 of them, and 30 of them met personally with her, and the other 10 are from Oklahoma that Parisa could pull and see. And she spent a ton of time with that. And with Bacone, we still got 50% of the revenue, because they were they were our graduates. So those students that they're getting for that program, they wouldn't have them without us. So they need us too. They need the Indian student count. Their Indian student count is low.
Yeah.
And so, we need them too, but they need us also. But they have the strong arm, so it's going to take the board and I think it's going to take their board.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think these discussions between just presidents
Yeah.
and deciding something that's not approved by boards or anything like that that's in writing is just good for both colleges, in my opinion. But I commend the work you guys are doing. Their last valedictorian was Pawnee Nation member, Pawnee Nation employee, and so and that wasn't just for our campus. That was for NICC itself.
It's awesome.
So,
They have 3 campuses in Nebraska.
to me, that's
It's a big
commendable
deal.
for that as well. So you have a lot of leverage. No, I'll just do. But I don't know. This kind of.
And he's in the
bothers me.
bachelor program too. So.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yes, I had a comment. First of all, you all do a great job, and I too commend you, and it is so nice to see so many of our Pawnee people graduate. It's just wonderful. So keep up the good work. You're doing a good job. I had a question about the dollar tuition, and these issues that we're having, that you all are having with NICC, what role in your negotiations is that $1 tuition fee going to have? Because that is just unbelievable to offer that. Is that in the mix too, the $1?
So yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
So they got several million in AARP funds, and it was approved to use that. So they would charge $1 a credit hour, but the college, NICC and PNC, for our revenue part, it's still the same. It's 171 credit hour. And so that's how the college still is, the NICC is still getting revenue and able to pay us. So it's a good thing for the student, and then they have that money so they don't lose money.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise, so they still pay us like 171 credit hour, only then the students are only getting charged $1. And then they get their full Pell, because like a lot of them, it's $12, you know,
Right,
for a
right.
full time, so then they'll get that. And so then it doesn't change the revenue for us or them,
Okay.
because they take it out of those AARP
Okay.
funds, yeah.
Good. Well, do you foresee in the future that, you said it ended on a certain date?
Yeah, I think they have enough funding through, at the last meeting said September,
Okay.
summer 2024.
So after that,
It'll go back to 171 credit hour,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah.
Because it's been a wonderful.
while, so.
Right. It's
We
been
were
a
afraid, we
wonderful
thought it was going to end.
opportunity.
Yeah, 23, so that it's another year, so as many as we can get in, you can't beat it.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had like our last graduates, I think 6 of them, they only paid $1 credit for 2 years. Their entire
Isn't
associate's
that
degree.
wonderful?
Yes.
That's just wonderful.
And the other good thing about NICC is they don't do loans. So they're with the American Indian College Fund, and so as long as their GPA is up, that's how they get, more money at the end. They reward them, and then their Pell, and then their tribe. So they come out where our students with Bacone came out completely, almost, at full capacity on their loans, had nothing left for their bachelor's degree because they just gave them the full amount every semester.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I had another question on, I know there were some issues with Bacone and the amount of money that they still owe the Pawnee College. What's the status on recovering that money?
That was one thing that I mentioned yesterday or Thursday. We were going over what the agenda should be for our next meeting. And Amanda had let me know that the Attorney General is, I guess his term limit is up. And so he's the one that was helping us with that. And he had filed because they were going to have to sell. It was going to go to an auction, but I guess they must have got out of it because it's pending. So we were kind of, wondering who would they take over our case?
I had the fortune of getting to know Dr. Leslie Hanna at Bacone College, and I believe he works full-time for, it was not the Cherokee Nation. Do you remember which one? The Cherokee Band. It's out of Tahlequah.
United Katua?
Yes. And so Bacone hired him on a basis to fix Bacone. And I don't know how he was juggling both positions. He's a workaholic. Hats off to him. But he came to our latest meeting to give us an update on Bacone. And it was sort of a dire update. It's day by day at Bacone. At the time, he thought the sheriff's sale, which is what Stacy was referring to, was going to happen. It did not happen. And so I haven't talked to him since that time. But it looks like Bacone's going to be in session in the fall when I check their websites. As far as payment of past dues and the work that's been done by our attorneys, I'd like to see that continue because Bacone still is publicly saying they are working to pay off all their debts. And so we need to be part of that. Dr. Hanna did say it's going to be a long haul in order to get them to actually pay, but because he exclaimed that there's no money there, none. So, but as long as they're publicly saying we're going to pay our debts, I think we need to be part of that payment plan.
President Nuttall, I have one more.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you very much. Stacy, I'd like to commend you and your staff, the board, Les, with all the work that's been done. This is probably the most transparent reporting that we've had. I'm really encouraged. I would encourage all of our citizens that are watching this to consider enrolling. This is an opportunity to change your life. You know, it can get you above and beyond anything that you've ever expected, is to be educated and help yourself. And this is what a wonderful opportunity. And I enjoy reading your Facebook post, and Marcy just really working hard. And trust me, if you could do it for $1 an hour, that is outstanding. And I would really encourage it. We've got a behavioral health center coming in. We've just broke ground on it last week. A lot of opportunity for employment. And we've got TDC. We've got some open positions there. I mean, if you are really looking to enhance your life, I would strongly recommend you call the Nation and Pawnee Nation College and get on board. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Right, thank you, Councilwoman Kimball. And Stacy, just also to let you know that our Attorney General, he started a new contract on August 1st, so he still is with the Nation. Yeah.
That's good news. Excellent.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both for your report.
Thank you very much to all the board members. We certainly appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
If I could just for a
We got
second,
one
I'm
more
sorry. I know we're
Council
just-
members, my apologies.
First, I just wanted to kind of reiterate that $1 per semester hour is, you know, that's just such an opportunity for people. And, and knowing that, you know, if you get an A in a class, what is it? You get $100, $200, something like that. You can make money going to college.
Yeah, you can.
All right? Who's ever heard of that? And seeing folks, 'cause you know, the success has been with non-traditional students for the most part, and taking folks who never thought they could go to college and seeing them succeed and go on, you know, how many have gone on to advanced degrees? That is incredible to me, because the change of mindset, you know, how many folks who thought they even had in any way a possibility of doing something like that? And I've just got to say, my commercial to folks is, you know, maybe you can. You know, maybe you can. And now's the chance that nobody gets, right? To get college for basically for free. Not to mention, you know, getting a laptop to work with. You know, you get the materials. It's an amazing thing. So off of that, I wanted to commend you on going from, you know, I think there was a problem in focus, and you have focused the work in such an amazing way that's, I think, going to really move us forward, and I think already is. So I wanted to appreciate you, share that appreciation. I did want to ask about certificate programs. You know, I think there's I know we're wanting to ramp those up a little bit. I know Pawnee Nation is wanting to ramp that up. Just wanted your comments on it.
So we have a partnership with Meridian Technology Center, also with the medical programs. And so we've been meeting with her, and we're starting the medical coding program with them. We were with Pioneer, and now with Meridian. It's going to be much better. And it starts September. And so we're going to really, they're getting some flyers and some things made, and we're really going to try to recruit for that. And it takes about a year. So I was thinking, you know, about that and how we could maybe work with the Nation on, you know, this behavioral health center coming, because they're going to need to start getting, you know, the certifications in the programs now. And we had to identify another program, which we did, which is a certified medical aid, and that's going to be starting. We have to wait till the new third year starts, which is October 1st. So we plan on starting that January 1st. And so that's going to be a full program, a whole year. And we have CNA with them. We have CMA. We have phlebotomy. And we have transportation through the NACTEP to take them to Stillwater. And all the book part will be here at Pawnee, at our college. And then, you know, the hands-on will be at Meridian, because they have, you know, and then we would like to do clinicals. We do clinicals for CNA with their approved sites in Stillwater, but we would like to see it done with the medical coding too, and some of the medical scribes have a little bit of that. So with Stillwater, with MTC, that's what we're doing, and it's way better. They have a better program set up than Pioneer, and we're excited. We're excited for the new program. It's going to be a year. They said they can't keep it. They keep having to add another, trying to find more instructors, and they're going to offer the instructors that are already in their program. So we know that we have the best in the field. So we're excited. So in September, we're going to be starting that again. And so hopefully we can, not everybody knows about the behavioral center coming. And so I don't know how we do that, but that's what we've been brainstorming on. How can we get these people now so they know that are interested in that field? Because we have, 6 certifications in the medical part, so.
It's fantastic to be kind of proactive there and getting these programs going. Pawnee Nation-wise, I know there's been a push for our directors and managers to have some professional development. Where are we on that?
So,
I know there's a ton going on.
Yes,
so
that's with NTIA. Yeah. Yes, so I actually was working with Falmouth Institute on on that training. And so it's going to be amazing for the division directors if we can ever get it approved. But we're waiting on. So the big holdup is, the NTI grant had issues and had to be taken over. So there's a construction planning budget and a use and adoption. And that construction planning was for a different campus that our board didn't know about. So they have never taken a planning construction budget and combined it with the use and adoption. So it's taking a lot of big dogs at the NTIA and NOAA Grants Online to get it approved. And I've noticed also with this program, it takes several months, like the no-cost extension took 3 months. And it's just because they have so many that I think they are a little overloaded our program office. But I did hear from her yesterday, and she said they're getting closer, and she needed a timeline of chronological events of how the board and I had taken over the grant and how there's new leadership and how that portion is no longer what we wanted to do and the change of scope. And so she said with that, just like very direct, and she's meeting with them next week. So I think it'll be approved. She said she thinks it's going to be fine. It's just getting through all those loops.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Evans. At this time, I'll recognize Secretary Gardefee.
Oh, well, I just want to thank you guys for that great report. And I just had a question. When do the fall classes begin? And is there still time to apply? Is that what I'm hearing?
So most of our students don't come in until the week of. We're trying to figure out, but August 21st. So that's when they start. And so Marcy's every day, she's enrolling. So, yep.
Also, I have one more, Misty. So one more thing too is I'm thinking, council, that perhaps Tarot, right? We have people coming into Tarot looking for job training and that type of thing that we could collaborate with the college for people that want to be that CMA, because it's not only behavioral health, we've got a full-on clinic here.
Right.
And local hospitals that people, can leverage to be employed with. So that might be something that we take offline and figure that out. I think it'd be great. Let them work part-time and then
Jen,
go to school.
Jen, is any of that in your collaboration discussions with the college?
With Tarot, yes. And then that's something that we've been discussing quite a bit is skills and training.
Training. Jen has been meeting with Stacy to talk about developing a training program for
I like
staff.
it. That's great. And then there's also transportation, folks. So they'll be transporting to Meridian.
Right.
Not Pioneer, Meridian.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, once again, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good report. Okay, at this time, we're moving on to the item number 9, Pawnee Nation Executive Director Report.
Thank you. And I just want to give another shout to Pawnee Nation College, because for everybody online who is listening to the meeting, if you enroll, you don't have to be in person. You can do online. And so not only do you get a free laptop, but they pay for your Wi-Fi. There are so many benefits to it. I will be paying my student loans for the rest of my life. This is, we had several people in the last graduation that graduated who actually made money for every A they made. They made money for getting their degree. This was such an amazing benefit. So I can't say enough about it. And also with the licenses, along with all of the medical licenses, that we also have, you can get your license in being a pilot to do drones. Did you guys know we do that at Pine Nation College? Yes, so we have a lot of different things we do there that I really think people should look into. What we were just discussing was I'm working with Pine Nation College on a very large project, which is having our managers and division directors being licensed to work as managers and directors. They have to finish a course to do it, a 12-month course. And that is specific to working for a tribal government. It's tribal educators who have backgrounds in tribal leadership and government who give this training. So it's something really exciting, and we'll bring it out in depth to the PBC offline whenever it's approved. I haven't talked about it because there was so much behind the scenes. I wasn't sure how, but I'm so glad to hear that we are hopefully a week away, because we've been working on this almost a year behind the scenes. So it's been a long process. So I'm excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is our second quarter of 2023. As usual, we've been very busy at the nation. We've been creating our self-governance division, maintaining traction on our strategic infrastructure needs, specifically water and energy projects. We've had a visit from the Secretary Torres from the USDA, and we've worked really strong with our partnerships with TDC and then Pine Nation College. I kind of went through with the college what we've been doing. Later on, I'll get on with what we've been doing with TDC. So as you can see, there's a theme developing. Pine Nation is really trying to make sure that we are partners with all of our entities, that we are not siloed, that we succeed if we all work together. So that's one of the things that we're doing, is really partnership is the key word. So April 11th, we had a groundbreaking for our REP grant, and I wanted to explain to everybody online. I know you've probably heard the REP grant, but let me tell you what that is. The REP grant is through the Department of Agricultural Rural Development, which is USDA, and what that grant does is it is a $2 million grant to incorporate renewable energy systems and promote energy efficiency on our reservation. The Rural Energy Pilot Program, that's what we call the REP. So whenever you hear us say REP grant, you know that it's about energy in rural areas. It assists rural communities to develop renewable energy. The Pine Nation, we are going to use this grant to install a 150 kilowatt community scale solar garden, 135 kilowatt geothermal system, battery storage, and electric vehicle charging stations. The funding will also provide weatherization planning and implementation through environmental sensor development and renewable energy training and certification for tribal members. This is one of the many grants that we're also working with Pine Nation College, because we have partnerships with them that we are building for that we can start training engineering and having certification programs in engineering, not just for water, but for energy, because we're getting ready to expand in the next 5 to 10 years. Public safety opening, another groundbreaking we had was April 14th for our Pine Nation Public Safety Center, and that was just expanding our where our fire stations are. So anybody watching online, right when you come on the res, next to the trading post is our fire station. That's been expanded, and how they expanded it was they made larger office spaces, covered spaces for our equipment, because we're getting new vehicles. We've gotten 2 new vehicles, new emergency management vehicles, additional parking space, and large training and conference room. This was funded through our ICDBG grant, and it was written by our planning division. One of the vehicles that we got, I know we've talked about, but I wanted to share with people, is our new fire truck with a ladder. I know Treasurer Chapman had given this in an update. A ladder is a really big deal for an emergency vehicle, because not only does it lower the property taxes for all citizens in the city, but also Payne County, Pawnee County, and also our property and casualty insurance for the city of Pawnee and for Pawnee Nation. So everybody receives a tax decrease just from that vehicle alone. And that also was another grant that was written by our planning division. Self-governance. We've been accepted for self-governance, so we're all thrilled with this. This is a long-term project that's been working on from all of our staff, because you have to have 3 years of clean audits. And I met with Laura May earlier, maybe a couple months ago, to review all of our audits for the past 15 years, just so I could get a thumbprint of where our deficits were in systems and how we needed to improve those things, working with our management and directors, and how we need to improve items. And this was, us being self-governance is a direct result of all of our staff coming together and making changes. We're just really proud because this is a really big deal. Our self-governance, we're in negotiations now, but the items that we're going to plan to transition into, there are 5 areas: Office of Justice Services, which is law enforcement; Tribal Government Office, which is aid to tribal government; Public Safety and Justice, which is tribal court programs; Human Services, which is Indian Child Welfare and Social Services; and our Community Development Office, Job Placement and Training Program. Working at the table is our Grants and Finance, our Planning. Madam President and Treasurer Chapman and myself are included in this, and we are really excited about moving forward with it. Trauma-informed training program, I know I've talked about this a lot. This is, we're doing this before we go into our improving management and director skills within a tribal government, because it's that foundation that lays underneath the foundation. We can't have toxic environments if we don't address the items that no one really wants to address. So we're doing trauma-informed best practices training, and that we had our first one 2 weeks ago. It's taken us a year to plan this, and so we've kicked that off. And our next one is coming up in 2 weeks as well. So that'll be a year of training, and that will be with all staff and leadership. Our Tewahe Award, I know that we had talked about this earlier. This is not a grant. This is funding that is provided to us by BIA and our Asia office. This is funding that is directly related because of our war on trauma. The goal of this is to keep families together. And if you keep families together, we're hoping that that can combat the areas that we're working on in our community, like many other communities, which is abuse, neglect, suicide, addiction, and any dark spirit in that way. We applied with our letter of intent last year. They were choosing 2 additional tribes to receive the $1 million funds a year, and we were number 3. And from what I understand, we are 3 points away. 3 points away from getting it. So they called us and said, you were so close. It was really hard. So they invited us instead to get the $1 million. They've given us $100,000, a one-time funding to do a needs assessment for this year. So I'm working with all of our Tewahe directors to do that. Also, they invited us to do another letter of intent for 2024 that is due August 31st. To receive the $1 million. And so we are working on that. So what I'm doing is I'm getting with all of our division directors who surround Family Matter, which is our courts, law enforcement, social services, and then I'm in education. And we are working on a plan. Then I'm having that plan approved by our CRD, because every plan needs to be culturally relevant to Pawnee Nation and how we do things. That's one of the things we've been working on at the Nation is we have a lot of great policies and procedures, but how are we making sure that we have Pawnee in it, that it's not just federal guidelines and policies, but it also needs to be us, Pawnee Nation. We had, on June 20th, the National Museum of American Indian Board of Trustees visited our Pawnee Nation Museum, And there was 26 Board of Trustees that came. We had a really good visit at the museum, and we had our PBC members as well as community members. We had a meal with the trustees. We shared a little bit about our culture, and then we took them on a tour of the reservation and showed them where the future site of our museum is going to be. And we had a really good visit with them. Our future endeavors and talks with them is going to be more about how we can work with each other in sharing exhibits as well as fundraising initiatives. And so that was a really great visit. On top of the museum, we're also working on White Fox. This is something that Madam President and I are working on, and as well as with our team, with our museum and CRD. And we are at the table creating a plan. We have a manager with the Museum of World Culture in Gothenburg, Sweden. His name is Martin, and he is someone that is working with us. And so that's going good. I will give you an update when we have more information on that. Also, we received a grant funding from the State Department to travel whenever that is decided on what's going to happen with that. And also, I thought was interesting was through our relationship with National Museum American Indian, we found out that White Fox, we thought that there was just his clothing at the museum. They have located his upper body bones at a different facility. And so through that relationship, we're now working on that. So we're very happy that we can have our ancestor and loved one home. So that is our goal. I'll keep you updated on that. Our infrastructure task force, which I call ITF because it's a long name to say. The ITF, they are really busy, and I've been really proud of the work they've been doing with all of our consultants. So I'm going to go through, and this part's a little bit long, but I want to make sure I read it so everybody on who's listening can hear what we're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to call me or call Chris McCrae. He is the head of our infrastructure task force, and we're happy to work with you on that. Let's see, in June, the ITF had an energy planning meeting with all of our tribal consultants. We have 3 tribal consultants that we work with quite a bit, and they help us write grants, and they help us with getting data around anything that is energy, water, transportation, housing. And they are specialists in their field. So we had a meeting with our tribal consultants, DNRS, planning, and the executive office to discuss mutual expectations, grant opportunities, and priorities. One thing that we wanted to make sure is even though we have a task force and we have an infrastructure strategic plan, we didn't meet with all of our consultants to make sure that everybody knew what our plan was and that we were all moving in the same direction. Now we are, and we feel like we have a really good plan for that. The ITF's priority is a Pawnee Nation sanitation facility treatment plant for fresh water and wastewater for the entire reservation in the city of Pawnee. Our Madam President, our ITF, and I have been working with IHS Commander Smith, as well as the Office of Environmental Health and Engineering, Division of Sanitation Facilities Construction, to help fund the plan, as well as engineering of the facility. And that seems to be going really well. They're really open to those discussions and making sure that they're helping us, because that is one of their deliverables as IHS. IHS has also approached the ITF to build a helipad. I guess we don't have a whole lot of life flights, but in the last 7 months we've had 4. So alarm bells rang with us and with IHS when they said, okay, it's time. We need to start doing a helipad. So we worked with our planning department. ITF worked with the planning department, and they have found funds to completely take care of that. And that is through our Pawnee Nation Health and Community Services. We're able to carve out some funds from those programs and have this paid 100%. So we're really excited about that, so we're working on that. Also, in that same discussion, we are now working with IHS on ambulatory services. One of the things that Pawnee Nation College does as well is they do certification for the drivers of ambulances, as well as the areas around, I went blank, the people who work in the back of the ambulance. No, they went above that. They are the doctors on the paramedic. They're doctors on the truck. So we are working with IHS as well as Pawnee Nation College on those areas so that we can do things all at one time, so that when it's time to have it It means our helipad and ambulatory services ready to go. We have people in place that we can train and start producing work for our citizens. We also, ITF met this quarter with Pawnee County Commissioner Jerry Skidgel and Circuit Engineer District 1 personnel about what bridges they would like to see done. As you know, Pawnee Nation does 60 to 70% of all bridges and roads. Did you guys know that for Pawnee and Payne County? We do that. So that's one of our environmental discussions, that we want to make sure that we have a 5-year plan with our county commissioners so that we know what's on our plate and how much support we need to have personnel-wise, as well as funding for any other issues for material and equipment that we don't have that we need to have. Also, ITF is also updating the Pawnee Nation Long Range Transportation Plan and Transportation Improvement Plan. I know you've heard me talk about, we have that railroad that goes through our reservation. One of the issues that they're working on is we have a lifetime easement on there. Like a lot of tribes do. They were kind of tricked into that. So we're working with Department of Transportation and Pawnee Nation Department of Transportation to get that fixed. And so they're working on that. That's going to be a long-term goal. Because one of the goals in our infrastructure plan is to have a 501L lease where we can have bring goods and services in and be like a station for a warehouse. And so we have many plans for that. ITF is working on various energy resilience grants with our planning division and our consultants to create a renewable strategic energy plan, which I have stated. And on that, these things that they are talking about, this group, is solar study to develop energy options for Pawnee Nation, broad range of resilience projects, REP Reconnect 3 and Reconnect 4 grants, Chilocco Solar Land Lease Project research, DOE Tribal College Grant. So what that means is there's a DOE Energy Improvement in Rural or Remote Area Grants that we've applied for. It's $350,000 for 5 years, and we should be hearing about that any time now. So that's one of the many things we're working with Pawnee Nation College. And our goal is that we are bringing PNC to the table for every single new idea we have so that we make sure on the back end we can train our own citizens to be able to have employment and raise our labor numbers here, as well as our education here. Also working, ITF is working with the Rose State College and Accurate Labs to research credentials needed for the water and wastewater facilities. Once we have those credentials, then we can help PNC know what they need in educating our tribal citizens. ITF is also meeting with FEMA and AFG coordinator, as well as the Muskogee Creek Nation Emergency Management. Tribes have been so great about working with us and teaching us what they know, and so we're making sure that we're passing that to all the people we work with and sharing our information so we can help our communities. Pawnee Nation College Partnership, I kind of went through a lot of that. We're collaborating and developing on Pawnee Nation Management certifications curriculum and a leading training curriculum. One thing I didn't talk about was the leadership training. So we're going to have a certificate for managers and directors that they must complete. But also anybody that we see that are fantastic staff that we could see, you know what, 2 years, I could see you be a leader. We're going to get those people and put them in a leadership program. Start training them on here's the minimum of what you should have, ethics and business sense to start working into leadership with Pawnee Nation. So they're working on a 2-track, actually a 3-track plan for us. One for directors, one for managers, and one for future leaders. And also for managers and directors to know what their lanes are. They are not the same thing. They need to know exactly what their job is. Pawnee Nation College has funding available to help our infrastructure task force with a land use plan and zoning plan. Part of that is GIS mapping, which is fantastic, and so we already have a grant for that through Pawnee Nation, but hey, if you can overlap it, that's fantastic. So we're working with them on that. And also, they're going to have money to help pay for that. So whenever we have our presentation about our land use and zoning plan, which Miss Amy has a second presentation, she lowered her cost because it was a little too high for us. We can now have part of that funding shared with PNC. Fantastic. So the nation is working with PNC to provide experiential education regarding careers in energy, broadband, as well as water management and engineering. We talked about how we're finding ways that PNC can help us educate our staff, but more importantly, how can we recruit that staff? So the best way, I think, is hands-on, which is experiential education, because as you know, there's many things you can't learn out of a textbook. You have to learn it from the culture you're working in and with the people you're working in. So that goes hand in hand with academic education. And then lastly, our Pawnee Nation graduates, they graduated in May. JOM Senior Banquet was on May 9th, where 2023 graduates received ribbon ties and shawls. JOM sent out certificates of achievement to 1 Pawnee boy and 1 Pawnee girl in all grades, 2nd through 12th grade. And I was really proud of our education team, because this year, all Pawnee Nation graduates from across the country were able to apply and receive a Pawnee Nation beautiful gold medallion to wear with their cap and gown. So we had a lot of people do that. And the conferences I attended this past quarter was a Sovereignty Symposium, and I submitted that report upon my return from that symposium. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Jen. That's a very good synopsis of what's going on at the nation. As you can tell, we've taken on tasks and, just like we mentioned, trying to elevate our staff by keeping them in mind and then having programs and opportunities when we go to the table to develop these programs or initiatives, and keeping everyone in mind, to sort of grow within the organization. So that's the hope that we continue to have. And then, just like she had mentioned, focusing on having all parties at the table from the get-go, so we can identify, maybe barriers or identify resources that can be utilized in carrying out those initiatives or functions. So thank you, Jen. Very good report. Right at this time, we're going to move on to item 10, Pawnee Nation Attorney General Report, and that's in your packet. I didn't know if anybody had any questions. If no questions, I just wanted to add one thing. If we can get it noted, Jen, that the college had noted that they were working with the Attorney General on that, but I didn't see anything on there. So if we can get that back on his radar so they don't lose momentum. Okay, hearing no comments, we'll move on to item 11, approval of 2023 Pawnee Nation second quarterly report for the divisions. Is there any questions? Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I just have a few comments. I did go through the reports, and the one thing I saw on HR, the HR report, it would have been nice to hear about the policies that are being worked on, which policies are being worked on, and kind of break it down, because, we haven't seen any of those revisions, and that's a concern for the council. I know several of us have mentioned that. So just wanted to get an update on that whenever you can. The other one was the language report, and I love all of the demographics and all of the reporting that you guys are doing in these reports. It's really interesting to see how many people are served and everything. The language department did have a great report. I've been wondering about that department, because it's new, and and they did a really good report. And I also wanted to mention, I don't know if you had mentioned to the council that when we went up to pass out the cards for the assistance program, is it Creek Nation that we were at their facility?
Oh, thank you.
They
Yes.
offered us their building for language classes for our tribal citizens. I did not realize how many tribal citizens we have in the Tulsa area. And I thought that was very generous of them. They were going to do it for us at no cost, but they talked to Jennifer, and I thought, and I do want to thank them publicly, because that was awesome. It's a nice little facility, a community building, and we love that. They were so generous to us to let us go and sit and have our tribal members come and get those cards. But I did want to mention that. I didn't know if Jennifer had mentioned that in any of her reports or not. One of the other things was the gymnasium. I was looking at the numbers, and I was going to go back to the past quarterly reports. I know we did, as council, we did the membership for all of our employees last year, and I didn't know if we were going to do that again, because I know that they have a loss in numbers, and wanted to know if that was something that you guys might think about doing, because a lot of the employees really did utilize that and benefited from that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. For their membership, I think it's the business membership, I think is what it is. And then Oh, that was all. But thank you, and those reports were really good, so.
Thank you. So let me follow up on what you said. First of all, the employee gym membership, I've had many requests from staff, and they see that as a employee benefit. They really enjoy that. So I would encourage the PBC to think about that and make it just a constant, because especially living out here or going to the res, there's not a lot for people to do. So it's a good way to blow off steam. It's a good way to just have some time where you can enjoy, and it's part of your job, which is a good thing. Secondly, yes, the PMP. As you know, we took off we took out the the grievance committee, and everything else stands. And however, we are updating several things. The directors are going to be looking at it. I want their input just for anything, because we've changed. What we're changing is everything, meaning that that's going to be an employee handbook as well as a PMP. So it'll be all in one. And the directors will get it next week to review. And we've added several things. We've heard from lots of staff directors of what should be in there or what they'd like to see in there. We also had some good comments about making sure that we change our policy to where we can hire felonies, nonviolent crimes who have a felon charge of nonviolent crimes. That took a lot of research. We finally are getting those bits in because we're wanting to see what's the standard in Oklahoma. As you know, Oklahoma is the number one place on earth for incarceration. And so that was a great request. But we had to make sure, okay, what is the numbers going to look like 5 years from now? Because the projected numbers aren't good of incarceration. So we had to make sure that we had to not only, if we change that, then we have to make sure our policies are there for background checks. How are we going to monitor that? How are we going to hold accountability and make sure that we're not in trouble? You see what I'm saying? So those background areas. And that's one of the things that we did, is that whenever we were updating something in the PMP, there were no SOPs for everything. And as you know, anything in a policy and procedure, every subheader should have an SOP in place to tell you how to navigate that policy. That's why it's taking so long, because you have to have both in place. Otherwise, you're setting your staff up for failure. They don't know what to do. And that's why there's been a lot of grievances in the past, because there weren't SOPs in place to match the policy. So it's going to directors next week. I'm going to give them probably a month to review, and then we're going to meet together and look at it. And then I'll meet with the PBC off camera so that I can hear from you, and then make your adjustments however you like, and then we can take it for approval.
Sammy, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you very much. I too have been concerned about those policies, HR policies, and so I guess currently we're just writing on the old policies as they stand today. I am encouraging council to consider hiring felons. I think that, once you've paid your dues to society, you should have an opportunity to get back in the game and have a way to live and put food on your table too. So I am a big advocate for that, and I'm also inclined and would promote and support the employees being able to go to the gym. It doesn't cost us a dime to do that, really, and it's a great work-life balance initiative, and I think it's important. I think that's an important aspect of working, and I like the walking tracks, and I like all of that, but it's just work-life balance is healthy for you. And I'm really looking forward to the post getting back in the game for breakfast, for everybody stops in there for a donut or whatever it is, an egg sandwich, and also for lunch. We're really missing the game on a lot of our employees for that, even a Coke. So thanks, Jennifer. I support that, and for the gym.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kimball. At this time, I'll recognize Vice President Canujo.
Yes, thank you, President Nettle. I too agree with the employees having that availability for the gym. I'd be curious to see if we could look at our insurance and see if that's a benefit for us offering that to our employees. Maybe that would help lower some costs there on the nation.
Yes, that is a benefit.
Okay. So that's good to have that. Also, too, in the report for the divisions, I noticed under the IT report, under their goals and objectives, the last item there says 362 help desk tickets and 88 project tickets were authorized and worked on jointly with JD Young Technologies. That's quite a bit in a quarter. I kind of think of, some tickets are probably just, hey, it's not connecting to the printer, blah, blah, blah. But that's still time that's, taken away from services to our tribal members and things of that. So I was just kind of curious if you had anything on that.
So, and that's a really good point. That goes back to our job of educating staff and working with staff. The problem is whenever you have a diverse staff, meaning age, we have some that are very tech savvy, and we have some that aren't. We have staff that have a hybrid schedule. They have it approved through their supervisor. So when you are away from your desk or away from the office or the server, you may have more questions than not. So some of them are minute and they're one time only. Also, we've had a lot of electric issues. We've had a lot of outages, and that's been going on because it's been so hot. I guarantee a lot of that is because of the of the electric. We're on a three-phase electric grid, and unfortunately the reservation's on the third phase, and a lot of times we get hit because the priority is the 2 phases. So we're working with staff on making sure if you have an electric, make sure you have a surger. You have to have a surge protector. 2, are you restarting your computer? So those things that you can do on your own before you call IT. And then, because our goal is to be able to have that help desk. We have 2 helplines, so I want to make sure you see one is for phones, one is for the computers. So they're 2 separate things. We got new phones in 6 months ago, and so whenever your monitor goes down and you have to reboot, then your phone will go down, your Wi-Fi. So I think we're in a learning curve. That number will go down. It's going to take some time for our staff to get up to speed.
Okay, I was just curious. I saw that and I was just like, man, that's quite a bit in a
Can
quarter.
I add to that?
To be able to have those
Vice
tickets.
President Knut, may I add to that?
Sure.
Okay, so we have voice over IP, what she's alluding to, but also JD Young can provide reporting on a monthly basis or a weekly basis on that help desk tickets and what issues there are. And if you'd like to have that, I'll be talking with JD Young. We're doing some collaboration on Monday, and I'll be glad to ask them for those reports.
Oh, sure.
Make sure that you have that, and
Yeah, that'd be good.
yeah, and that they're shared. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And then one other item, a couple other items. One is under IT again. I know right now we're contracting with JD Young, and I know they've been pretty helpful. The last item under their report is grant pursuing. No new grants are being pursued. I was wondering about the sustainability with JD Young.
Thank you. And that's something I know we had talked about with the PBC at the end of last year. That's one of my concerns. Pius and I did meet with JD Young in December, and our main conversation was, we want to be real honest with you. We are not going to be able to have this budget with you. This is probably the last time, so we need to start scaling down that budget. So what I asked them for is, I want to see where where's the holes in our services, meaning what are we being charged for that we're not using. We need to start scaling back and being more strategic in what we're using. So I've asked JD Young for an itemized list of what we do and how often we use that. That's been kind of a challenge, so I'm working with them on that. But they have been great about saying, okay, we understand and we absolutely will start scaling back. I want to see what the options are of scaling back, meaning 30%, 20%, 10%, so that I can see we have an expandable and retractable plan for no matter what happens. And so we're working on that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more to add. Jennifer, that is one of the meetings that I am having with J.D. Young and Pius next week. We're going to be looking at costs, right? We have a lot of, we haven't had our asset management piece of IT is a little weak. We're going to, we have a new admin in there, and I have some tools that she can use since I came out of IT to get the asset management tracker going, and depreciation and all those things that we have to look at. It affects our tax, our bottom line and our tax base for depreciation, and also, like you said, different charges that they're doing now, that they're going in and they're kind of combing that through right now, and that was the gist of them inviting me in to figure out how we can save some money. And I'm glad to help them with it, you know, if you all don't mind, you know. I enjoy it, and I think that we have a great opportunity to continue that path. Jennifer, you weren't here when our IT situation was absolutely horrible. We couldn't work. We had 68 servers. Okay, today we have 19. There was wires just everywhere, and I could email you and it would have to go all the way, and then back and around and loop and loop and loop, and they've cleaned it up. We audited, they've cleaned it up. Pius is, you know, has he has a presence here. We also have a J.D. Young representative, Rick, who's here full-time, and also they do all the heavy lifting for engineering, what have you. So Pius is great at network engineering and such, but there's other things that have to go, and that helped us, because it's really been beneficial. You don't need to have a person walk up to a desk and reboot for you. I mean, that it's, you know, takes a lot of cost. So if you can just do it remotely, and it's really a great benefit, but we are going to comb that and see what we can do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to follow up on that too. One other issue that we're cleaning up is prior to that cleanup, we had all of our divisions using programs with different softwares. Not all software was compatible to what we have. So we are slowly building to trying to institutionalize all of our software. And that's also with all the things that you see we're doing. That's why we're constantly bringing IT involved. Yes. Updating staff on, you know, whatever you're using, yes, you need to be getting a hold of Pius. How are we making sure that it matches? Because some of those calls are because we have software that we shouldn't be using. It's dated, so we have to update. So that's part of our plan right now too.
That's all of IT architect, and we have to have an architect plan in place, and J.D. Young developed that for us. Mm-hmm. So you're right. A lot of people just download something and it hits our firewall, and all of a sudden their computer crashes, or it doesn't work, right? Functionality is down. So I think it's great. I'm glad you guys are looking at that, and I'm glad to help however I can.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of J.D. Young. As Councilwoman Kimball mentioned, before they came on, it was really a huge mess. We lost a lot of data, and they were able to recover some, but not everything. And they did. They rebuilt the architecture of our infrastructure when it comes to IT. So I'm very appreciative to the work they've done. I was just thinking about the sustainability, because I know that they come at a pretty good cost to the nation as well. So just kind of thinking about that. But you get what you pay for too at the same time. I mean, if you want good, you're gonna have to pay for good. My other comment was under the food distribution program. There was a mention of the power that went out due to a storm that happened, and so they did lose some of their products. And my question would be is, did they? I thought they had a backup generator. Is that?
They did have a backup generator. However, it wasn't a matter of that. It was the freezer went out. So the freezer zapped out, so it wasn't able to get any energy. However, FEMA is going to replace us of all those funds, so we won't be out of pocket at all on that. As well as any division director will be able to get replaced funds. And in fact, we're talking right now with them on our emergency assistance, the cards that we're passing out. We may be able to get those funds back. So anything that has been affected by any storm. Also, thank you for that, because one thing I wanted to bring up maybe on the next agenda is FEMA requested or gave good advice. They said right now our Constitution says that we have to have a resolution by PBC to call an emergency. If we do that, it ties our hands because then we can't get those funds allocated immediately. Where they suggested that we have some different changes. So I'd like to meet with you guys offline and talk about that because then we can help serve our citizens much faster as well as our programs and services.
Okay. Appreciate that. So you're saying it was the freezer. So the report said, he said, this talking about the electrician was caused by a bad storm they had over the weekend that knocked out the breaker outside. So was it just surge? Is that what it was?
It was a surge, yep.
Okay.
And by the way, we do have a surge protector, but it wasn't enough.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You have something? Good. Anyone else have comments?
I wanted to comment, and thank you for such a comprehensive report. I want to echo my fellow council members on that. And I found the IT discussion really interesting and an opportunity to explain why I abstained on the committee reports, and why I will abstain on some of the other reports is I could not access the reports at all, either by email or going into Teams. And I don't really feel that's anything on the tribe's end, but it's just with the heat and the electricity, the internet service, I could just never access it. So if I abstain on a vote, that's why I haven't been able to read it. In the technology discussion, one of the things that we have not really done, we've just kind of worked through, and it shows at times, is we've been issued a lot of equipment, or technology, and some of us are older than millennials and Gen Zs, and computers don't come as easy, operating them and software and all that. So whenever we go to a new program, or even maybe some of our existing ones now, if we could get training on it in advance, that would be really helpful. And it would help us operate. It was really challenging during the COVID times, and we had to meet offline, and some of us didn't know how. So we had one person, we saw their forehead most of the time, and that's not a good, really, a good image that we want. We want our tribal members to see all of the face. So anyway, I just had those comments, and I just wanted to explain why I was abstaining.
Thank you, and I will add PBC training. In fact, I'll send an email out to ask for additional trainings as well of what you guys would like to have. Happy to do that.
Donna, in the meantime, YouTube is your friend. Okay? You can go in there and figure out any kind of software application. Go in there and say, how do I work Teams? How do I schedule a meeting? It would be really helpful, too, if we had shared Outlook, so that we could see everybody's availability. Yeah.
Okay. What I hear you say is PBC members do not have Outlook.
Oh, no, we have Outlook. I just can't. It's nice when I can go in and schedule a meeting and then see everybody's availability.
Oh, I see. So you don't have shared calendars?
No.
Okay.
So that would be helpful.
Okay, we'll send
Appreciate it.
information.
Yeah, JDM. Thank you.
On which one? Oh, to rescind it? Oh, under committee. Oh, okay.
Are we on that one? Are we on this
No.
one? We're not there yet.
Okay, we were having a discussion over here. I have a couple of quick comments. You had mentioned about working with J.D. Young. Can we review maybe their scope of work before we start looking at, all these things? Because I know you had mentioned that, they're coming through some of the things that they're working on, and then identifying some of the things that they're, not cutting on, not working on, so we can cut back a little.
Yeah.
And that just kind of came from when we were requesting the voice over IP issues report. Because I didn't know if that was going to be an additional cost for us or not.
The voice over IP? Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
The support piece of it, right? But that's the whole thing is right now, we are being charged for every laptop, every piece of hardware that we have as a support.
Right.
Well, some has been already retired, right? And we don't have a good asset management tracking system. And that's going to be one of the things I'm going to stop by over there and to the new IT admin and I told her I'll bring my thumb drive from my old hunting grounds that I worked at and bring in some reports, and she can just leverage them and tweak them as she sees fit. But that's what we need. We need asset management. We need to know where every piece of equipment is.
Inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called, asset management, and we need that in place, including software. So you have an architect, right? You have your hub of all your servers, and then all of your software. Every piece of everything that's downloaded has to go to IT. It has to be approved. You can't just download, and that's why I think we really do need to lock down our laptops. You can't download, and if you try to download, you should have something that comes up that says, you need your admin.
Yeah,
You need your admin rights here.
Administrator.
Yeah, but that's what happened. We didn't have it before. So that's what we're trying to get the broom and sweep all that.
Okay, and then how you were talking about providing remote assistance, is there anything in place for JD Young to train our staff on doing remote assistance as opposed to them coming to your desk?
Well, you shouldn't have to do remote assistance is basically calling JD Young and not having desktop support.
But are we going to train Pawnee Nation staff on that?
That's something I've asked for, is start handing things over.
At one time, there were 4 openings in IT, and those haven't been filled, but we just have the administrative staff.
Correct.
And we've reached out to JD Young, but when are we going to get?
Well, as soon as we can hire them, I'm sure. I mean, we do need desktop support, right?
Are they being advertised, or can we get them re-advertised?
That would be Jennifer's.
Well, and this is one thing that I've been talking about, and we can talk about this offline as well, is whenever we're looking at itemized services they're providing for us, there should be handing things off and training our staff on how to do these things.
But that's not our contract.
Well, and that's what I want to see is, and then also the things we're not using, that we're being charged for, how can we switch that out for something we can use?
Right.
Because we shouldn't be paying for things we're not using, or we're not using enough of.
Right.
Right. But that's what I would like to see. When we utilize contractors and consultants, they're there because they have the expertise.
Yes.
But they're also there for us to learn from.
Yes.
Just like what you're saying.
Yes.
They should be able to hand it off to us so we, implement it ourselves.
Yeah, maybe we do need just a desktop manual on the web that you can just pull down and saying, okay, I can't do this. What do I do? And again, YouTube is your friend. So, yeah, I understand, and we'll take it offline. I know there's a whole lot of opportunity there for us in cost savings, but I do think that they're doing a great job, and they're doing what we asked them to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, we're going to go back to item number 5, Pawnee Business Council Committee Reports. And Ms. Butler would like to rescind her motion.
I can do it on the next agenda item, but do we need to go ahead and approve the division reports?
You want to do that after this? Because I haven't called for the vote or anything yet.
Yeah, after this one, because it's coming up on the agenda to approve the committee, commissions, and boards reports.
Okay.
We just jumped the gun, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're going to hold off on that until after we, or see if we can approve these 2023 Pawnee Nation second quarterly reports for the divisions. Is there a motion to approve these reports?
I'll make the motion to approve the division reports.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Butler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Canujo. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo?
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman?
Yes.
Cynthia Butler?
Yes.
Donna Hare?
Abstain.
Gene Evans?
Yes.
Sammy Kimball?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll go back to item number 5, Pawnee Business Council committee reports. Ms. Butler wishes to rescind her motion.
Yes, I'd like to rescind my motion to approve the committee, commissions, and boards reports. And I do apologize, I just looked at them earlier, and we don't have a gaming commission report or a tarot commission report, and I think that that's important. These are regulatory boards, they're big ones, and it would be important to see where they're at and what they're doing. And it's also part of, us knowing what our commissions and our boards are doing, but also in the MOU, and I know that we have a freeze on the MOU for the Evening Star, but they're supposed to be providing a quarterly report as well, and I don't see that in there. So that's important as well. So I would like to see those 3 reports be submitted, and that's why I want to rescind my motion. And then after we get done with this, I'll make a motion to table this report.
Okay. Vice President Canujo, are you okay with that? You seconded the motion.
I guess. No, I'm teasing. Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I look at these, I don't know, I mean, Councilwoman Butler kind of helped me out here, but the council committee reports, I mean, I guess it's the thing is, this item 7 that we're looking at here, it's kind of repeating itself, committees and everything. I know it's all into one package there. So, but to your point, I mean, I'll go along with that and rescind it as well. I just kind of wonder why it's repeating itself too at the same time.
I think we were just supposed to give our reports up there, and then now we're doing the approvals of all the reports. I think that's how they structured it.
Okay, so now at this time, we have a motion on the floor to table item number 5, the committee report. So do you want to table? No, we already. Oh, so we just need to call for the vote, right? Yeah. Okay. But this time we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo?
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman?
Yes.
Cynthia Butler?
Yes.
Donna Hare? Gene Evans?
Yes.
Sammy Kimball? Okay.
And I'll make a motion to table the committee, commissions, and boards quarterly report until we get those reports turned in.
Okay, we had a motion on the table motion on the floor to table the committees, commissions, and boards made by Councilwoman Butler, seconded by Councilwoman Kimball. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo?
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman?
Yes.
Cynthia Butler?
Yes.
Donna Hare? Gene Evans?
Yes.
Sammy Kimball?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. So are we going to put them on the next agenda? Okay, so can we contact them and let them know they'll be on the next agenda to submit their report? Okay, at this time, we're moving to item 13, approval of 2023 Pawnee Nation second quarterly report financials.
Yes, we have James here, and if you have any questions on that, we can refer them to James. But I would like to tell the council that on the 17th and the 18th, we are having our budget call. Jennifer, myself, James, we are meeting and we are preparing to look at 2024's budgets. We're ending in 2024 with all of our COVID ARPA money, everything, and we're preparing to get the tribe ready to be safe. So it's really good. This has been a good meeting. A lot of, yes.
This is the 17th and 18th of August or October?
I thought it was this month, August.
We have orientation on the 17th.
You have what?
Oh, we'll have to adjust the dates.
We'll update the dates
We'll
with you.
update the dates. But there are some really important items because we as a tribe are just changing and growing and just leaping into another stage here from the past few years. And IT is one of the very large items to keep us in the future as we go forward. So we're going to be taking a really good look at that to see how we can keep the quality of service. And also one of the other items that we're going to be looking at very strongly is the self-governance budget, because we are going to have the negotiations here quickly. And that is the other step. And we are also going to work on the budgets to give it priority, to ensure that office is quality, to get us into the future with that. So we should have more to report to the council on where we're going to go with that, with the budget.
Yes.
We've been able to have balanced budgets, and we want to continue that, but it's going to really take some work this year.
Well,
as we go forward.
And I wanted to echo what Treasurer Chapman said, is that we've been working with division directors so that whenever we go to budget committee, they will be balanced. Because we are strict. It will be balanced. We are not going with anything that will not be balanced.
But I just wanted everybody to know that we are being very diligent about that, making the prep work, and we're going to be meeting on it and working real hard to ensure that this government goes forward now as we're taking that lead with the new behavioral health center, self-governance. We've made a lot of really good changes within the tribe. I mean, excellent workers, excellent everything, excellent reports, college work, just all working as a team together. And it's just, I have positive feelings about how we're going to do it. We did it last year, so I feel like we're going to do it this year again. So I just wanted to report that to the council. Also, TDC is going to be a priority with you on now. I was very happy to hear that. And we'll be working very closely with you on that, on the assessments for next year, because that's also going in the reporting as we go forward with the your new administration there. And also, I just wanted to share that with the council. And then on the financials, James had been putting this report together here this past week. So I'm sure you didn't get to see it, Donna, but because
We know you didn't see it.
but anyhow, so I'll just, any more questions for James, he's here with us. But otherwise, I just wanted to report that to you, so thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Chapman. Is there any questions that we have for James? Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
Good morning, James. I just had a couple of questions on some of these budgets that I saw that were had overages on them. The first one is going to be 1067, which is the Enbridge Park. I think it was lighting. I'm not for sure what that one was. Sorry, I didn't write it down. But it was over. I know we were given a certain amount of money, but it was over 1518, and just wondered where that is being absorbed. Was property the one who absorbed that in their budget? It was just concerning because also there was one for Pawnee seed preservation, which was $700 to $800, which I didn't think we had that program anymore. There was also CDC supplement for $3,400, and then there was an employee activity fund for $5,300. So that was a little concerning. Where are these coming from to cover those costs? Right. That was just a question of mine, and just wanted to know how we're going to get that fixed and where they're at.
As everybody's well aware, we're this week will be our third week in the audit. So there are some adjustments that still need to be made. We haven't been able to get to a lot of them, and some of those are that. I think the one for the, I think it's the for the park. I haven't been able to get back with Sky on exactly where I know he's pretty good at taking care of his business part, the financials, and the other one for the Employees Club, 4,500 is the Employees Club, so they pretty much manage their own funds. And I think Susie's the president of that, but we booked that since it's part of our audit, and usually it's just, I think it's just a loan program right now. And of course we also booked their charges as well, bank charges. I'm trying to remember what's the third. You said the second one. I can't remember which one it was. Oh, the seed program. Now, some of those, because we haven't closed. I mean, we closed 2022 from having any new entries, but there are some entries we're going to have to do to, and I think seed preservation is one of them, that it won't show up in the moving forward into 2023. But it's kind of I was kind of surprised too when I saw it, but I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and put it on there because it's part of what the report's showing. So, plus, I didn't get to talk to Penny about it. We've been in direct contact with Ryan and Lindsay that's doing our audit. Lindsay's pretty much doing the REDW. It's doing our indirect cost proposal for 2024, plus the she did the county, Ryan, which is Rose Rock, is doing our audit. There's in contact with each other on some of the things for them to do our proposal, indirect cost proposal. So, and Penny has been the main contact, and so when I do find out more about the seed preservation, I'll have an update for you next council meeting.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I have two more things. One is I didn't see anything for the carryover for the scholarships for the committees. I don't know if that was a mistake on my part for carrying over, but we did have some money that we did not spend last year. I know there was 300 for governing docs. IAC had 600 and property had 200. And then we had the 500 from the Dr. Feelgood scholarship. Just wondering if we still need to do that, because we just put out all of our information for scholarships for committees, and so we'll be doing that as well. So is it still there?
It's still there. Let me
Okay.
get with Janet, because I know she's been doing a lot, like since we've been to the office, she's been, I don't know what the good word to use. We've kind of been spilling everything on her. She's getting used to doing more different duties. Duties that she hasn't been familiar with, but it's actually part of her duty. So, and that's one of them that she's part of, is those budget entries.
Okay.
And I do some every now and then, but as time allows, so it's just, I'll get with her on those.
Okay, I'll follow up on that next week sometime, okay? Because like I said, the deadlines for some of those scholarships are coming up this month.
Yes.
So just want to make sure that we have those funds available, and if I need to go to the budget committee to do a budget, to do a carryover mod, then we can get that done and taken care of. And then the last one is just a concern, because, I look at everybody's budget, and I look at mainly the commission's budgets, because they're the ones who bring in some of the revenue from their, but they use that revenue to supplement their budget, right? So the concern was the Taro budget. They have budgeted a certain amount of money, and they've only brought in maybe a third of that already, and they've already spent half. So are we watching that right now? Because, we're already into the third quarter, and they haven't brought enough money for what they've spent yet. So who's taking care of that? Who's going to be taking, is that general fund money that's going to supplement that, because they're going to be over the amount? I just want to make sure that we are concerned about their spending right now as we're going into the third and fourth quarter, because looking at their numbers, it was a little concerning, because they're not going to make I don't think, from what I see, they're not going to make the projected revenue for what they requested in their budget. And if we're having a balanced budget, then we really need to watch that one. But I just wanted to make mention of it. I'm pro Taro. I'm just concerned, we're all concerned about the financials, and you said that we wanted, that's one of the ones that kind of popped out at me. So I just wanted to make mention of that. That is probably something we need to get with them to say, hey, watch your spending, and kind of pull back a little bit. And that's all.
If I could follow up on two things. One is, I think some of these expenditures also is just, we're training our staff to look at their R&E reports. Finance is sending those R&E reports, which is our revenue and expenses reports. Every month they get it. And it's their job to look at it and make sure they know where their money is. If they need to readjust their money, do so. Also helps them to do projections for the future year of how they need to expand and retract their budget. And so that's a learning curve right now. That may be what this is. I'm going to dig into it to find out why there's expenditures. Also, secondly, with Taro, that's a concern of mine as well. That's something that I've talked about with the director, is what is your plan for this? I'd like to see a financial as well as an overall strategic plan for Taro to see how we're going to address this. So it is in talks, and I think it would be good for all of us to meet offline and talk about that.
President Nuttall and Cynthia, in light of your talk, a lot of the work that's been done with Taro this summer has been helping elders with their mowing. Maybe, just maybe, social services can kind of pick some of that up. I don't know, but it's a thought. Maybe they need to, maybe you can talk about that with them. I just thought about that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kimball. Do we know if these financials include, they have that contract with the city?
Oh, yeah.
For mowing grass or keeping up their property or something? Does that have any impact on this, or have we started getting any payments from that? Or?
You know what? Let me find out for you, and I'll get back with the PBC. I'll email everybody back.
And that's why it's.
Did you have something else?
I do like that thought, that maybe we work with something with, some kind of any program that would pay for those services that we're providing for free for our elders. That way they can at least get that funding in.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I've never thought of that, but maybe, Jen, if they can approach somebody, a division director, to see what they can do to try to get that cost covered, because it does cost money.
Sure.
I'm glad they provide that service to our elders.
Yeah.
A lot of our elders get it, but we, it
I
would
see
be
what you're
nice.
saying. So you're saying their funding can
Yeah,
get.
yes, to supplement, to pay them for getting those done.
Yes.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
social services fund
You bet.
that piece
Okay.
of it. And it can just go
And
on
that
and on.
sounds like that's very doable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then even the firewood, they provide firewood for all of our ceremony, the cook shacks and all that. Maybe that could come out of CRD. I mean, even $500 is $500, something. Keep them alive. And that will change, folks, as soon as we start the build. And that's why it's really important that Taro fee, it should not be negotiated. It was a straight fee of 6% at one time, and we've negotiated it down to almost nothing at a lot of times, trying to get the best deal for a build. And it affects our program. We're really just, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We got to fix that. We got to do better.
Any more comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2023 Pawnee Nation second quarterly report financials.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
A
second.
motion on the floor by Councilwoman Butler, seconded by Treasurer Chapman. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Dean Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, we'll move on to item number 14, old business. Number 1, approval of Pawnee Business Council quarterly meeting minutes for June 3rd, 2023.
These were tabled minutes that we went back and went through and made the corrections. And so I'll make the motion to approve the quarterly meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2023.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of June 3rd, 2023. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Got a second by Treasurer Chapman. Any discussion, corrections, omissions, deletions? I believe these were actually tabled from the last meeting, correct? We just needed to make the changes. Okay. No further discussion. We'll call from the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, item number 2, Pawnee Business Council special meeting minutes for June 20th, 2023.
Same with these, we went through those and made those corrections from the last meeting. So I'll make a motion to approve these minutes.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of June 20th, 2023 by Secretary Gardapi, seconded by Treasurer Chapman. No discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo?
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman?
Yes.
Cynthia Butler?
Yes.
Donna Hare?
Uh-huh.
Gene Evans?
Yes.
Sammy Kimball?
Yes.
All right, thank you. At this time, item number 15, open forum. Do we have anyone for open forum? Okay, we've got one person signed up for open forum. We welcome Miss Ann Collins. I signed up.
I think somebody.
This is crazy.
Okay, well, hi, guys.
Well, good afternoon.
It's me again.
Welcome.
And, first of all, of course, I want to talk. Huh?
Just turn it that way.
Turn it what?
It has to be like
Towards
that.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, naturally, I want to talk about money that I want you all to give me. Let's see. First of all, letters went out from the enrollment department to all the 71 enrolled full-blood Pawnees, and then they included a letter from me inviting them to be the special guests at the Grandparents' Day dance. And let me tell you some of the reactions, not from the full-bloods, but one lady said, "Why full-bloods?" And I said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "There's only 71 of us left." Anyway, I don't think she was really in favor of honoring the full-bloods, but we're going to do it anyway. And then I heard, I heard from 4 full-bloods yesterday. One of them wants to dance at the dance, and I said, great. One of them is excited. Well, they all were, but one was excited. One rarely leaves his home, but he's planning to be there September 10th. And one of them wants to donate to the meal. That was my favorite one. And let's see. We really need help with the beef. We also need help with the gift bags. The travelers have raised $750. That's in the bank. We have the 50 pounds of flour donated for the meal. I have several friends selling raffle tickets. I have a woman in Oklahoma City. The lady that owns the general store in Morrison is selling raffle tickets for me. This is her second time to sell raffle tickets for me. She raised about $40 or $50 last time. Let's see. And by the way, my daughter donated the 4 gift baskets that we have. And I brought the one to show you in person what it looks like. I haven't got around to requesting donations from the businesses in town, but I will. Let's see. I guess that's about all for that subject. My next subject is this little book put out by Tourism Department about the towns in this area and the different activities and different things that go on in this town. The one in Pawnee, well, the one I have to brag on Ponca City. Ponca City, their page, they even have a picture of Ponca Chief standing there in his park in Ponca City. They talk about the surrounding tribes. And let's see, it's Ponca, Osage, Oto, Missouri, Kaw, Pawnee, and Tonkawa. This is the only page that the Pawnee tribe of Indians is mentioned. Okay, you go over here to Pawnee. The town of Pawnee is most, what does it say? Their biggest claim to fame is Pawnee Bill and his museum, and Chester Gould, who created the popular comic strip Dick Tracy. There is not any mention of Pawnee Indians in Pawnee, Oklahoma. They are very disappointed, and excuse me, I was sitting here thinking, you know, there's a lot of other things that they could have mentioned. The Pawnee Nation College. There was no mention of the Pawnee Indian Homecoming and Powwow that's been around for 75 years, 76 years. There's the BIA here. And also the IHS clinic. But I guess the people uptown don't realize that. Oh, then my compliment goes to the Taro lawn mowing crew. They do a very good job, and they save me money each time. One day, for some reason, they skipped a strip of my property. And I'll be darned, by the next morning, they were back and they mowed it. So, let's see. I guess that's all I have to say. I hope you all will please look into correcting this little book about Pawnees.
Yes, Councilwoman Harrell.
First, I want to thank you, Ann, for all of the activities and the positive things you do in the community. I had that concern myself because the Pawnee Historical Society a couple of years ago put out a little brochure, no mention of Pawnee Nation. There was one mention, but they did, when I went in to talk to them and complain about it, call that to their attention, they did mention that Pawnee Nation College was mentioned, and I said that's not good enough. There was some information out some years back, and hopefully it's been corrected, that Pawnee was named after Pawnee Bill, which is totally wrong. Switch it. But anyway, yeah, that's what we need to address. And when we get those requests for information about our tribe, we need to provide them and get that information in there and knock down the doors to make sure, not literally, I'm not trying to get anything started there, but I mean, just to really bring to their attention the relevance that we have in this area.
On that note,
Councilwoman Harrell.
oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Treasurer Chapman.
Yes, on that same note, Jennifer, who contributes to that magazine on our part? Can you contact whoever?
Well, I think that's probably, I know Chamber of Commerce has some ties with the tourism department. Is that through Oklahoma or tourism of where?
Travel Oklahoma Green Country Tourism.
Okay, so the good thing is we do have a tribal member. We have Councilman Butler who sits on the Pawnee Chamber of Commerce for the city of Pawnee. So maybe we can look into that. But yes, we have really good ties with Chamber of Commerce, so we can definitely look into that, especially if people think Pawnee was named after Pawnee Bill. Wow, okay.
Oh, can't say something else?
Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I was going to mention that we have a meeting coming up, I think next week, and I'll ask some questions because I think I've seen another brochure going around Pawnee that has the same information that doesn't even have anything pertaining to the Pawnee Nation. And so I had another tribal member bring that to my attention, and so that's one of the things that I want to ask. So I'll bring that up, Ms. Ann, and find out who contributes to that and how we can contribute to that. But who would be our point of contact to contribute to that? Would that be CRD, Executive Office Communications?
You know what, bring it to me and then we'll figure it out, because one thing I do know is being a member of Chamber of Commerce, that allows us to have access to tourism information.
Okay, so Executive Office?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Ann.
Can I add something? Now, the businesses in Pawnee have always been very cooperative with me. I've been raising funds. The Travelers started, well, we sponsored the Moe's Yellow Horse softball tournament during the homecoming. We did that for 6 or 7 years until we got rained out one year. But the businesses uptown always contributed to the expense. And there is one business in town that has a painting of a Pawnee Indian displayed very prominently in their lobby. And as far as I know, it's the only business. But anyway, the businesses are cooperative with me anyway when I ask them for money. I just want to point that out because I'm going to ask them again.
Okay, Secretary Gardapi.
Yeah, it's interesting you should bring up the Pawnee Historical Society because they did invite us to become official members, and so they were like, George, can you be the representative? So I have been attending those meetings. I just didn't tell you guys yet, but I have missed the last couple because we've had conflicts. But they meet every month, and I'm planning on attending those meetings for sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice President Kuniho.
Thank you, President Nettle. It's good that we're going to be addressing those concerns about our tribe being able to be put into those publications. I do support us, working with the Chamber of Commerce for the city. My curiosity would be could we just directly work with the tourism department for the state of Oklahoma, or do we have to go through that? Because I think that would be good too, just to go directly to them, because sometimes things get lost in translation and things like that. If we can just do it directly, I think that would be beneficial. And it's our story, and we can tell it better than someone repeating it for us. So.
Right.
President Nuttall?
Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman Councilwoman Kimball.
Thank you. I was just thinking to myself right now that we're kind of turning into a little mini Pahuska. We've got all these little shops and restaurants and stuff going on in town. And I know that, what is it called? Buffalo Rome? It would be nice if somehow or other we could get our cups and T-shirts in there, or even that gift shop that used to be the floral shop. They have consignments in there. You could just put our cups in there and stuff. I think people would really enjoy them. Even I don't know, maybe some art prints and stuff of Moe's Yellow Horse, or our old chiefs, Bahut, whatever. Let's do something. I think it'd be a great idea. I don't know how we do that. Maybe we need another committee, but it would be good. And a little generations, yeah, it would be good. Thanks.
President Nuttall.
Let me recognize Executive Director first.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say two things, and yes, that's a great idea. One of the things I didn't share that I was going to wait for my next report because I have more information on, but we're working with the Buffalo Theater. Miss Randy, who runs that, she was been working part-time, and so the theater hasn't been open every single day. Now she's moved back, and so she wants to have events every single evening. So I met with the elders advisory committee, and they are going to survey the elders, because what Randy and the tribe had talked about was asked the elders, what kind of movies would you like to see? And because she'd like to have 2 nights a week events for elders, and not just in the theater, but in the town, so we could make it like 50s night, 50s day, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever kind of event, but just make the entire town an event for elders to go and just have some fun, have some nostalgia. That's one of the ideas that we're doing. So we're working our way into town doing things like that. So I'm in agreement of having a tourism committee. We need that. We need a lot of arms out there working in the community. Also, an idea for training for the PBC. Currently, our education department for our Pawnee Public Schools is doing a Pawnee Nation diversity training for their staff, their teachers, and this can be given to any business, to any community. It's something that we should expand out everywhere, even to TDC, because we have a lot of non-Pawnee employees and a lot of non-Pawnee entities who work in our community. So just put that bug in your ear.
Yes. I hosted the teachers and education staff for the public schools as well. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I'm sorry. Carol was before me. We'll go ahead and let
Yes, Carol, you're right.
Yes. Oh, on that, that's a good idea. Is CRD involved in that? Okay, great. They're great. I would just like to say on that note, and this is directed to TDC, I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma that travel around, and of course everybody I know is fascinated with Pawnees, loves Pawnees. So, I like to promote them. But they stop in at Stonewolf and get gas, and I have been asked so many times, there is nothing there on the Pawnee Nation in that shop when you go in to buy food or drink. And I was just wondering if you could look into that and see if you could maybe work with our tax commission here, our tax office. We have beautiful items for sale. And if you could just help us as a tribe promote through our beautiful things that are created, and maybe get some of our local artists. We have very talented Pawnee people, and put their items out there for just visitors that are coming through to buy gas. That would really, and maybe get a brochure for him about the tribe and all of our things that we just talked about, and have it placed in that shop.
We actually have an area that has 15 slot machines. And to maintain those 15 slot machines, we have to have a manager on duty and a security guard. 3 shifts, 2.5 shifts every day. Those 15 slot machines make about $500 a day. Our cost is well over $500 a day. So we're going to move those machines into the casino, and we're going to open that spot up as a gift shop.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So, one step ahead. But we have, since we got rid of table games, I don't know when they went away, but we have boxes and boxes and boxes of playing cards with our logo on it. And I said that would be a great thing to put in the gift shop.
Sure.
So any other local artists that make, jewelry or something like that, we'll just have a Pawnee gift shop. So.
Yes, Councilwoman Hare.
So this takes me down memory lane. And when the trading post was built, the intent, and I do want to recognize those who were responsible. For writing the proposal, it was Carol Nuttall, Bill Nuttall, and Della Warrior. And so they're the ones who wrote the proposal for that. The intent was, and it started out that way, is we had a lot of Pawnee Nation products in there, and it was, changed and taken out, for gaming. But I'm really glad to hear you're doing that, because it's been an embarrassment not to be able to tell people, oh, you can buy, our products, here or there. And it's always seemed kind of odd that it's with the tax commission, because I think they picked it up and did it, but it doesn't really feel it belongs there. And so anyway, it's great to hear.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I do want to go back to Miss Ann's request for funding, but I do want to say that, you know, she did give us all $100 worth of tickets, and that's $800 right here as a donation from the council if we sell those tickets. George and I have been selling tickets. We're fighting people for ticket sales, but we've also got donations already to go on top of that. So if we get done, we should have, you know, a little over $100 that we sell each. But just wanted to encourage the council to do that. That can be our contribution to this event that they're having, and just wanted to let you know that we are making the effort to do that. So, but encourage others that let's do it.
Well, thank you, because if we don't get help with the beef, you're all going to be eating corn soup and fry bread and a potato. But hopefully that won't happen. Oh, and another thing, I had this idea about the gift baskets or the gift bags. You're the guy at TDC now, head man. I had this idea. Could you give us some little papers that say $10 worth of free play?
Not to put you on the spot.
I mean, but
Do not commit yet.
I do not frequent the casino. That's very bad. Never win anything, so I don't go. But if we could get some free play papers, people would go down there, and after they do their $10 free play, well, then I'm sure they'd stay and spend their own money. So,
Flyer?
huh?
Can you give me a flyer on the event?
Well, I turned it over.
You know, we'll get with you. In fact, if I could just add off of that, we had that on our list. So I wanted to give you an update. Our division directors are gathering items to create bags for all 71 full bloods. And so we will have a bag ready for you. The deadline for our division directors to get in touch with Jamie is the beginning of September. So you will have a bag from Pawnee Nation for each full blood Pawnee. And that's one of our items that we have on our list. We've made lots of lists of avenues we can search. And also want to introduce you to Miss Ann Collins, which let me tell you, we need to hire her for our fundraising. And also I wanted just to top off of what Miss Ann meant. She meant she loves going to the casino and she enjoys it, and it's a wonderful place.
I did?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Hare.
Just one short comment, and it's with sadness. We only have 69 now. We've lost 2 tribal members since that report. William and Minnie. William and Minnie, that report on the numbers came out before their passing. Did you just now get it? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll recheck. I saw it in the last quarterly report. It said 71 full bloods. So.
So do you want, Jen, can you get clarification on that? Thank you. Okay. Nothing else for open forum. We'll move to item 16, set the next meeting date, which I believe is our next regularly scheduled meeting on August the 15th. So it'll be August the 15th, 2023. Do we have a location yet? Right here. Okay, we'll be back here on the 15th. Anything else?
I just have a question. How was our sound today, Geneva? Was it good? It's not
If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I won't second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Butler, seconded by Vice President Canuho. No further discussion. We'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho?
Yes.
George Carter, yes. Carol Chapman?
Yes.
Cynthia Butler?
Yes.
Donna Hare?
Aho.
Gene Evans?
Yes.
Sammy Kimball?
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned at 11:51 a.m.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was like, where can I take a break? Where can I take a break? And I was like, no, I know they want to get done.
We did.
Oh, yeah.